Welcome to the VELS channel. In this video, I'm going to run grid bots with the expectation of medium-term movements. I will show you how to analyze coins and calculate the potential. Finally, Bitcoin pleased us with a powerful movement, and the market seemed to revive. Therefore, we will trade according to the trend. I will choose coins with the condition that I will draw large percentage movements. At the same time, I will show you how to properly protect your position in the event of a market reversal. And by the way, I advise you to subscribe to our channel right away because here we post a lot of educational content. If suddenly you haven't used the special bonus that allows you to trade for a week on VELS for free, then register using our link to Bavit. It will be in the description. I will launch the first bot on the 1000 Pepe coin. As you can see, highs have formed on the instrument, and in general, the volumes on the coin have increased. In addition, the coin is in an uptrend. This is what we need. By the way, as you have noticed, the website has been updated on our platform. Here you can see platform statistics, reviews on VELS, as well as platform features and our special offers for those who invite their friends. So, let's start creating a bot. I will be trading on the Bavit exchange. We find 1000 Pepe coin here. A $60 deposit with a third shoulder and a cross walrus will be allocated for this coin. Let's see how to evaluate the overlap. As I noted, the coin is in an uptrend and it has been trading for more than 7 days. Here, I'm counting on some kind of short squeeze to take out the participants who scored langs here. At the same time, I will set the grid at 20%. Such a wide selection will allow me to manage risks. At the same time, it is not a fact that I will be taken into position, but nevertheless, I am counting on some kind of scrapping of the structure of this proto-trading where I will be taken into position. Therefore, as an overlap, I will set the grid at 20%. I will trade 4 orders, according to the classic, with a high percentage of martingale. We set a small value for the indentation. As a grid 4 tightening orders, I will set 3% because if suddenly the coin flies away, then the orders that I have will need to be cancelled and I will no longer participate in the transaction in this case, because the market sometimes flies up without having time to pick up the position of many participants who are starting at this time testing Thomas. But here, it is important to approach trading with a sober head and not jump on the outgoing train. After the transactions are completed, I will stop the bot. Let me remind you that the task of the bot is not to collect small movements, but to pull out the largest possible percentage. As a profit, I will use multi-takes. For the first indentation, I will choose a 3% value, where 30% of the volume will be unloaded. This indentation will rather work as an anchor, that is, it will protect my position in case of a price reversal. The rest of the volume, I will distribute according to the potential of the coin. Let's go back to the chart and see what this coin looks like. We have been in a downtrend for a long time. A week ago, volumes entered the coin, and a powerful upward movement began. From this small trade, when the volumes began to enter, the coin made a movement of about 80%. And by the way, this situation could also be worked out. We have a very cool feature on the platform, a volume filter. In this filter, you need to set the indicators of the coin itself, and you can see the volume by hovering the mouse over any candle. At the top of the chart, we see that the volume is increasing here. If we compare it with the volumes on which the coin was traded earlier, it will be clear that large capital is taking part here, which brings its funds here. Let's see, an average of $3 to $8 million was traded on the hourly candle here. What not to say about this one about the trader, where volumes are also maintained, but at the same time, they are growing strongly at the moments. Therefore, you need to use a higher time frame for the volume filter. Let's compare. Here, in 4 hours, 15, 20, 50 million, 17 million were traded, and already in a superior movement. The volumes have grown greatly, and 500 million coins have been traded here in 4 hours. The coins are exactly those that the underlying asset is traded with. It is important not to be confused here. Some exchanges show the coin volume in stablecoins or in dollars. But here specifically on the Binance exchange or on the Bybit exchange, just the same volume in the underlying asset is indicated. So, let's evaluate the potential. As a rule, the potential of a coin is equal to about the same percentage as the consolidation itself. Let's see, there is consolidation in the region of 25%. Therefore, after crossing these levels, the participants' feet will start to work, which are the fuel for any movement, whether it is ascending or descending. For the next indentation, I will set a value of 7%, where I will also unload 30% of the volume. The subsequent indentations will be slightly smaller, but this is precisely with the expectation of the same upward strong movement that this coin is able to give. For an indentation of 10%, I set the volume to 5%. For an indentation of 15%, I will also set the volume to 5%, and at 20%, I will already drop the remaining part to 30%. Thus, I will fix the bulk of the volume in advance, and everything else will drag on, taking into account the growth potential. In this trade, I will put a stop loss without loss. Despite the fact that the indentations are wide enough from each other, 100 flat without loss will stand from the average, because the task is to pull a large movement. The filter for starting the bot, I will set the default moderate settings. Let's see how the grid will be positioned. The graph shows how the volumes are located, taking into account the high percentage of martingale. Creating a bot, I'll call it 1000 Pepe intraday. Launching. I launched the bot, and a notification has already arrived that it has entered into a transaction. Now I will wait until my position is fully typed, if this happens. And the bot will pull the deal, just the same, with the calculation of the breakdown of these levels here. For the next bot, I chose the Ether coin. As you know, this is a conservative asset, so I will trade it a little with increased risk. I will allocate $100 to the bot, and raise the shoulder a little. Creating a bot. Choose a deposit and choose a leverage. For overlap, I'll ask 10%. This is a fairly conservative approach, taking into account the fact that a short squeeze has already formed on the coin, which has taken out all the Lang participants, and the coin has now returned to its proto-trading, in which we have been for quite a long time, for more than 218 days. Therefore, there is room to grow. But in case of drawdown, I am ready to restart the bot again with the same grid, or perhaps I will revise the settings, and I am ready to gain a position even more. For orders, I will choose a grid of 3%. For the martingale, I'll pass a small value of 10%. I will set a small value for the indentation. In this transaction, I expect to use a logarithmic price distribution, because the Ether is not so volatile, and here the chance to gain a full position is not very high. For the logarithm, I will set the coefficient 1 and 8. To tighten the grid of orders, I will choose 0.5%. After the transaction is executed, I want the bot to finish the job. This is necessary in order to review the situation, because now we are back about the trader, and it is not a fact that the upward movement will remain on the air. For profit, I will spread the grid, using an anchor order of 1.5%. I will allocate 30% of the volume for it, and I will pull the remaining position in the 10% zone. We see that a cascade of levels has formed on the FIR coin, and we are approaching the upper border of the slope, at which I plan to gain a position. But we must take into account that the coin can create approximately such a movement with a breakdown of the inclined line. Then I will not consider Langi anymore, because the potential for a deal will be exhausted and the average price for the position will no longer be as desirable and more dangerous. Let's see how this coin can go in theory. The first goal is the nearest high, which was formed as early as the 12th of July. Up to it, from the current price of 10%. That's why we're going to spread out our entire grid in a 10% zone. In this transaction, I will not set a stop loss without a loss. In case of some strong spill, I will be taken into position, but I am also ready to allocate an equivalent deposit of $100 to the bot to repeat the same grid. In the filters for starting the bot, I will set conservative values. Creating a bot. I'll call it Ether Long Intraday. Launching. My bot is running. It will only take a few seconds for you, and it will take me a few days. Dear friends, a whole week has passed, and I am ready to share with you the results of transactions. And I will start with the 1000 PEX coin, which gave a powerful long movement. The coin has completely exhausted its potential of movement, in which I took part. But I had to re-enter the deal, because once I was knocked out on the foot without loss. But it's okay, in the end, I pulled the maximum movement of 10% profit. Let me show you my results. In the first transaction, I opened 2 orders, but unfortunately, the price turned around, and later, I had to restart the bot again. Here, in this situation, I took 0.8% of the movement. Let me show you this in the statistics. We see that the bot was in position for 8 hours, and at the same time, took 0.85% of the movement. Subsequently, I restarted the same deal, and here, I managed to pull as much as 10% of the movement, but the coin itself gave much more. Since I was closing with multi-takes, and a certain volume was allocated for each take, it turned out to pull 10%, which is a big movement. Naturally, I was counting on this potential, but at the same time, the coin made an even stronger movement. As much as 40%. But as they say, we took our own, and the entire syllabic potential of the coin has been exhausted. But this may not be the full maximum that this coin is capable of doing. In theory, it can continue its upward movement, somewhere getting into consolidation and continuing its path, or it can go into correction. Everything will depend on Bitcoin, because the correlation of the coin with Bitcoin is very high. Nevertheless, as I said, all 5 take profits were executed in the transaction. But since only 1 order participated in the position, I earned a small percentage of the deposit. Let's move on to the next deal, which showed a very good result. This is the Ethereum coin. Here you can see my entry point. The price lacked only a few ticks to pick up the second order, and it went up executing my take profits. You can see the down arrows on the chart, and these are just my take profits. The movement has fully realized itself, and since the entry point, the price has done as much as 14%. I took 5 and 14% from the movement. This is precisely due to the fact that a certain amount was allocated for each take profit, but nevertheless, this transaction brought me 11% profit from the allocated volume. Let's see how it looks on the graph. I entered approximately in these values, and the price gave a powerful Lang movement. Let's see again, how did I determine that there would be such a strong movement? The coin formed an inclined level on the higher daily time frames and pressed towards it. In this Protergovka, I just went in and expected some kind of powerful movement. At the same time, the final high in the coin has not yet been touched, and the Ether still has the potential for Lang. But I have already taken mine, so I have to enjoy the profit that the deal brought me. Dear friends, thank you for watching this video to the end. Be sure to share this video with your friends and tell them about the VELS platform. Let's conquer the graphic peaks together. See you soon.